Very nice.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how to move faster and outplay your opponents on the map Industry. Industry is actually one of the easier maps to move around on because of its basic layout, but there are still some tips and tricks that you can use to make better plays and make clean rotations around the map. The first thing we're going to focus on is how to deal with all the slopes and ramps that are around this map. The way I like to maintain my speed while going up slopes can actually be applied to most slopes in the game, so this trick should be really helpful if you're looking to improve your movement overall. There are a few ways you can deal with slopes in Krunker. The first is using quick B-hops to go straight up, but using this method usually breaks your momentum a little and is probably the easiest one to mess up. If your timing's off at all, you'll basically trip and lose all your speed, which could leave you wide open to getting shot by anyone chasing you or in front of you. Despite this, sometimes it's the only method you can really use in this situation, so here's how it's done. If you're going pretty fast and you're already close to the ramp, you want to slide as high as you can up the ramp and then jump. If your feet hit the top of the ramp, you'll trip, so what you want to do is hold crouch right after you jump so you can miss the top of the ramp and keep on B-hopping. If you're farther away from the ramp, jump straight for the middle of it and do a really quick slide hop to miss the top of the ramp. The second way, which is my personal favorite, is to slide diagonally up the ramp. Since you're going to be hitting the ramp at less steep of an angle, it's a lot less likely that you'll trip and you should be able to keep your momentum more easily. This method is also the easiest way to gain speed if you're going slow, so keep that in mind. I find this to be the easiest method and the one I use most often in games. The last method is sort of a combination of the first two, and it takes a little bit of finesse. It involves curving your slide up the ramp and is the way that usually gives you the most control. This ramp right here is the one I find myself using this way the most on because it's sort of in a weird spot. The corners around it force you to hit the ramp at an angle, but it's too high to jump diagonally up like the other method. What I like to do here is hit the bottom of the ramp at an angle and hold my slide all the way up while curving the mouse to the right. Once you're getting close to the top, you can just jump out of your slide and you should be going straight up in the direction of the slope. You should also have pretty much all of the speed that you came with, and if you don't, it's because you held the slide a little too long, so be careful of your timing. You're going to be using all three of these methods when rotating around maps in this game, so it's best to practice all three until it's easy for you to figure out which to use in each situation. Now that we've covered the basic slope methods, I want to get into basic rotations for this map. The first basic rotation is pretty obvious, and that's going around the outside of the map. When I play Industry, this is usually what I do until I hear someone fighting in the middle. I like to rotate counterclockwise, and it's the way I'm most consistent at, but it's always good to mix it up a little bit to throw off your enemies. Alright, so I'm going to start from this corner because I can also showcase all the ramp techniques we talked about earlier. Start your B-hop and head towards the left side of the first ramp. Slide hop diagonally into the right so that you end up around here. This puts you in the perfect spot to leap down to the lower level and head around this corner. For the second ramp, you want to curve your slide like I explained earlier. This will put you in the right position to keep moving counterclockwise around. This next slope going down can be pretty tricky, but if you time things right, you should be able to jump right over it and quickly slide hop to the left. If you find that you're going to land on top of the downward slope, hold your slide until you get close to the bottom and curve it a little. Then you should be able to head back over to the first ramp, but usually you'll have too much speed to jump up diagonally, so try to jump straight up the ramp and keep your momentum. The second time around, you should have enough speed to jump straight up this second ramp as well. This completes the basic counterclockwise rotation for Industry, so next we're going to move on to the clockwise rotation. We'll start in this corner since it's a pretty common spawn. I like to go out the door that's just to the right here because it puts you in a little better position for the rotation. You should easily be able to navigate around these corners here until you get to this tricky part here. You'll need to control your speed here so you don't hit the wall, so what I did here was instead of using a regular slide hop, I extended the slide to curve around the corner. I held the slide just long enough to slow down a little bit without losing all of my speed. If you get this right, you'll have the perfect amount of speed to B-hop around these corners. If you can't curve the slide and you're still going too fast, you can also hold backwards in the air to slow yourself down some. Next, you want to use your ramp techniques to get up this slope here. I use the diagonal method here to send me right through the gap in these corners. Next, you want to keep your turns sharp to get around these corners to the next slope. You can see here that I also went up diagonally, but not on as much of an angle since I had a lot of speed. The second time coming up to this wall here, I actually had too much speed, so I held backwards to slow down and put myself in position for these next B-hops. So that's pretty much all I have to show you for the basic clockwise rotation. And now we can talk about going through the center areas on this map. These are some of the more difficult rotations, so you're going to need more practice to master these. So for the first center rotation, we're going to start at this spawn here. Start your B-hop and then try to hug this wall so you can get an angle on the wide ramp that's out here. Before you land, you actually want to shift your momentum to the opposite direction and B-hop diagonally to the right, and then back to the left. Do another quick set of the hops to the right and left, and then you can continue your counterclockwise rotation as normal. You can also go to the right here and start rotating clockwise, but you have to be ready to decide how you'll get up this ramp here. This next center rotation will start from here. It's important to use your movement keys to stop yourself from hitting the wall, but after that you can continue as normal. And then I'll basically do the opposite by going diagonally up the ramp. This last rotation will start at this spawn. Hop around this corner and then jump past the hole in the wall and quickly do a 180 hop back. You have to carefully angle yourself so you'll shoot straight through the hole in the wall and down to the lower level. Then you can go back to rotating as normal. Use any combination of these center rotations with the basic rotation to throw off your opponents or get to fights faster. Now that we covered rotations, here are some little tricks you can learn to outplay people on this map. The first is using your knife to jump over this wall. It's a simple one, but it definitely throws people off. The second one is a little tricky, but if you angle your B-hops right, you can take out your knife and jump over onto this platform to confuse anyone that's over here. The last trick is a lot more difficult, but it looks the cleanest out of all of these by far. After you come up off of this ramp, do a zigzag and take out your knife to jump onto the large platform. Not only is there a spawn up here, but people like to camp up here because there's a lot of fights that go on in this area, so this trick can prove pretty useful if you practice it. So that's basically all of the tips I have to show you for this map. So if you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time for the next tutorial.